everybody. In this video, we're going to walk you through how to set up the 3D printing process for the Montana mask. So right now I'm on the makethemask.com, and as you can see, the Montana mask website has an image of the mask here, inside and outside, and it's one long website with links on the pages. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead to the 3D printing tab here, and I'll go ahead and click on that tab. What that's going to do is open up all the information on printing this particular object. So here we can find our 3D printed files. I'm going to go ahead and download the Montana Mask STL file and also the updated Montana Mask filter frame with flange. By doing this, I'll then have the STLs that I can take and put into Repeater Host to be able to create the code. Now, here's also the basic instruction sheet on the construction process. There are more detailed instructions on assembly and fitting. This is just a quick overview, so I would also recommend taking a look at that. So now the STL files have been downloaded, so we're ready to go ahead and jump into Repeater Host. Okay, to get into Repeater Host, at your menu bar down here at the bottom, type in REP, and then you'll see the Repeater Host app pop up as a search option. So go ahead and click on it, and what that'll do is open up the Repeater Host software. So what I'm going to do right away is go ahead and check the configuration settings. Imperial units of imported objects are set right now to millimeters, so that's fine. I believe that the mask was designed and exported in millimeter format. So I'll go ahead to object placement, and I'm going to go ahead and find the Montana mask right here. I've downloaded it a few times, but I'll grab the latest download and hit open. Now I'm going to do the mask and the filter frame separately so that I don't have any issues or concerns about a failure on the mask. The mask does take a few hours to print. So given that, so I'm going to go ahead now and start setting up the process here. I want to rotate this mask so the flat portion of the mask here is actually on the base itself. So looking at the XYZ, it looks like the X is the axis I need to rotate around. So I'm going to go to the Rotate Object tab, find the X axis, and rotate it by 90 degrees. That brings us so that it is sitting flat on my print build plate. At this point, I'm not going to scale anything because I want the filter to fit just as intended. And I'm going to now start working through the slicer options. So to do that, go to the slicer tab at the top of the selector here. And now we just want to work down through and set up some of the basic settings for printing with PLA. Okay, I always recommend starting at the top and working your way down through here. So Cura Engine is the slicer. We're going to go to the Configuration tab, and we're going to come around here and take a look. You want to make sure that your speed and quality is set so your slow is at 40, fast is 100. That opens up your range. The rest of the travel information, layer information, all of that can be left alone. Where it says name, as far as selecting quality and settings, here, this is set to a 0.2 millimeters. Now, this is a default quality. I have printed this mask at 0.2 millimeters. The mask is also, in the printing information, it says you can print it at 0.15 millimeters. I've had success at 0.2 and had a nice, sturdy, strong mask. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that at 0.2. If you'd like to try 0.15, that would be fine also. So from that point, I'm going to move over to structures. Looking at shell thickness, I increased my shell thickness to 1.2. It gives us a slightly thicker shell, actually 3 layers of material around the outside. And the top and bottom thickness, I have also made sure that that is set to be 0.8 so that we have a nice thick top and bottom. As I keep coming down here, support, usually haven't changed much here as far as overhang angle, doesn't need any supporting. Skirt and line count here, definitely run 3. I would not go less than 3 because you want to have the filament coming out of that nozzle before it starts printing and make sure it's really up to temperature. So make sure that's all set. It does not need a raft, so we'll not even worry about that. Jump into filament. I'm going to look at the diameter. That's all set fine. Flow rates at 100. Print bed temperature and print temp 210 for the print temperature, and then 50 for the bed temperature. Works great for PLA that we're running. So we'll hit save at both of these particular tabs just to make sure they're saved, and then close. Now, this was the default print configuration. If I jump back in here, you can see it says default. So I'm just going to leave this as default. We're not using adhesion. Quality is at that 0.2. Support type none. I'm going to keep my speed right here around 90, and then I'm going to keep my infill at 20%. Enable cooling so the fan turns on. And the extruder is running the default print configurations and filament settings. So we're all set here. We're good to go. I'm going to hit slice with Cura Engine. And now this is taking the solid object and turning it into a series of layers that will be then laid down with the print nozzle as the printer is working. All right, so there is the layer structure set up. If I zoom in, you can take a look at those and see some of those layers, and that looks like it's good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and start the process to export this to one of the small export cards. These are the mini SD cards, and then we'll take this over to the printer.
So I want to give you a little rundown on the micro SD card and how this functions. This is the transfer SD card case. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. You can see that this has got a USB port on this. This actually goes into the computer. Always look at the two holes at the top. They generally go up. Now, what I want you to take a note of is when the micro SD card is then put into the transfer card, the text or images on the front of this, you can see that's a little symbol, and then the text and writing on the micro SD card both go in the same direction. Okay, these things are very sensitive. If you try to shove this in the wrong way, it may start to go in and you may shove it in, but what's going to happen is it's not going to work, and you then would have probably also destroyed the pins inside of the transfer card, or also the card itself. We have several cards that have been damaged. So what I want you to do is be very careful that when you slide these in, you go nice and slow, and then you very, very carefully make sure that that's going to press in there correctly and it gets all the way seated. Well, we're going to go ahead and take the micro SD card and put it into the computer. Again, we want to be very careful and gentle with this. Make sure you find the USB port. Make sure that those holes are on the top. Don't have this thing flipped upside down and try and shove it in there. But make sure that the holes are on the top, and then slowly insert that into the drive. Now, after you finish working with the SD card, make sure that you also eject it on the computer screen before pulling it out of the computer. Okay? Once this thing has been ejected on the computer, and only after it's been ejected, can you remove this from the computer.
Okay, after taking and inserting the micro SD card transfer unit and SD card into the computer, I'm going to come up here and click on Save for SD Print, and then Save G-Code for Direct Print. I want to keep Start and End Code on, and include Job Finish commands. Okay, then I hit Save, and now I want to then just move through my file structure here until I find that USB drive in the E file here, and I'm going to find the file for 3D print. Okay, I'm going to put all my 3D prints in here. Now, here I've already done this once before. You can see that there is the Montana mask. So I'm just going to click on that Montana mask and set it up as if I've just typed it in here, and then I'm going to hit Save. Now it says, do you want to replace it? Absolutely. Go ahead. And now that has been replaced on the SD card. So now we'll go ahead and work our way over to the 3D printer. But first, I'm going to want to eject that mass storage device. That's that micro SD card. So we'll hit eject, and then it'll be ready to take out of the computer.